Britney Spears caused a huge scene on a private flight back from Mexico, an incident that has once again placed a spotlight on her mental and emotional well-being. And TMZ managed to obtain a photo capturing a particularly raw and revealing moment on the jet. The image shows Britney visibly distressed, an emotional wreck by all appearances, with what seems to be either lotion or sunscreen slathered all over her right arm, a detail that's odd enough to have raised eyebrows and further concern among those closest to her. She appears to be engaging with a woman, likely a flight attendant, and the tension between them is almost palpable. This snapshot offers more than just a glimpse. It's a telling portrayal of the turbulence in Britney's life that continues even after her release from the court-ordered conservatorship that lasted over a decade. What really unfolded on that flight paints a more chaotic picture. According to those close to the situation, Britney boarded the plane with her security team on Thursday, heading from the scenic shores of Cabo San Lucas back to Los Angeles International Airport. But what began as a simple return flight turned into a troubling scene mid-air. Reports indicate that shortly after boarding, Britney began consuming alcohol. While drinking on a private jet is not inherently unusual, the situation quickly escalated when she proceeded to light a cigarette and began smoking in the cabin, something strictly prohibited on all commercial and private flights alike. The flight attendants were quick to intervene. Alarmed by her behavior, they ordered Britney to extinguish the cigarette immediately. According to sources, she complied, albeit reluctantly, but her demeanor throughout the flight was described as difficult and erratic. By the time the plane landed at LAX, the situation had drawn enough attention that authorities were notified and ultimately issued Britney a formal warning. No arrest was made, but the incident added another concerning layer to the ongoing saga of her life post-conservatorship. Even more shocking is that the emotional state captured in the photograph occurred before the plane had even left the tarmac, in Mexico. According to eyewitness accounts, Britney seemed disheveled and visibly unwell from the moment she arrived at the airport. She was dressed in a tiny pair of white shorts and a loose-fitting top, looking as though she had just left the resort without changing. Her signature wide-brimmed hat looked precariously perched on her head, almost as if it too was barely holding on, much like Britney herself. Her hair was tangled, her body language fraught with tension, and that inexplicable layer of lotion on her arm suggested a level of impulsivity or perhaps disorientation. The airline she was flying with, JSX, a luxury private jet service, declined to comment on the incident, maintaining a stance of discretion as is typical with high-profile clients. A spokesperson for JSX simply stated that they had no comment on the alleged events described, an expected response, but one that leaves more questions than answers for the public and for Britney's increasingly concerned fan base. Those in Britney's inner circle have spoken up in recent months about the ongoing challenges she faces on a daily basis. Despite the public celebration surrounding the end of her conservatorship, a movement largely driven by the Now Free Britney campaign, many close to her argue that the termination may have been premature. One insider confided that the judge who ruled on the case went so Hollywood, suggesting that the decision was more influenced by public sentiment and media spectacle than by the stark, clinical reality documented in her medical reports. The judge ignored all of the medical reports in front of her and just bent to the Free Britney people outside the courthouse, the source lamented, hinting at a disconnect between legal proceedings and Britney's actual needs. The core concern among those who care about her remains the same: Britney's mental health. The freedom that fans rallied so passionately to secure may now be the very thing exposing her to greater harm. Without the protective parameters that the conservatorship provided, even if they were deeply controversial and at times abusive, Britney has reportedly struggled to find equilibrium. Her erratic behavior on the flight is just one more indication that, far from healing, she may be spiraling further into instability. In the wake of this latest incident, discussions have reignited about the nature of mental health support for celebrities. especially those who grew up in the spotlight. Britney Spears became a household name as a teenager, her every move documented, analyzed, and commercialized. The years she spent under the thumb of conservatorship were not just about financial control. They were about attempting to create some semblance of structure in a life that had become increasingly unpredictable. Whether that structure was supportive or oppressive is still a matter of debate, but it did, at least, prevent episodes like this one from occurring in such public and uncontrolled ways. Critics of the conservatorship system argue that it robs individuals of their autonomy, and in many cases, they are right. But Britney's situation also demonstrates the risk of removing all safeguards too quickly. The lack of a middle ground, a way to gradually transition her into independent living with proper medical and emotional support, has made her particularly vulnerable. Her recent behavior isn't just an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern that points to ongoing struggles. In addition to the flight incident, other reports have surfaced recently of Britney behaving erratically in public spaces, frequenting hotels late at night, expressing paranoid fears to strangers, and appearing visibly upset in restaurants. While fans might dismiss these as paparazzi-fueled exaggerations, those who've interacted with her behind closed doors paint a different picture. There's a shared concern among former staffers, family members, and even some mental health professionals who once worked with her that Britney isn't okay and hasn't been for a long time. The image of Britney on the jet, lotion-covered arm and all, has already gone viral. Social media platforms are flooded with commentary, ranging from sympathetic concern to cynical ridicule. Unfortunately, that's often the case when celebrities unravel in the public eye. Their pain becomes content. Their breakdowns become hashtags. And while Britney has always been a polarizing figure, idolized by some, vilified by others, the fact remains that she is a human being grappling with profound emotional and psychological issues. It's unclear what comes next. Her team has remained largely silent, possibly to avoid further escalation. But behind closed doors, you can be sure conversations are happening. Is intervention necessary again? Should another form of structured support be reintroduced into her life? Can someone who has lived so long under the scrutiny of the world ever truly heal without professional, consistent guidance? Britney's story is not just about fame or money or even freedom. It's about the high cost of all three. For years, she was the puppet in a show controlled by others. Now she holds the strings, but she seems unsure of what to do with them. The Cabo flight incident is yet another chapter in a narrative that is heartbreakingly complicated, one that doesn't have easy villains or simple solutions. And maybe that's what makes it so painful to witness. Because deep down, many people still remember the Britney who danced on stage with unfiltered joy, who captivated millions with her music, her charisma, her spark. That girl is still in there somewhere, lost perhaps, beneath layers of trauma and years of being told what to do and how to be. Whether or not she can find her way back to a stable, fulfilling life remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. The world is watching, and this time, not just to be entertained, but hopefully, to understand and to help.